Welcome to the profound exploration of a mind that fundamentally rewrote the laws of the universe. While we all know him as the grandfather of modern physics, did you know that Sir Isaac Newton was also deeply terrified of his own sins, to the point that he kept a private journal detailing them? This intensely brilliant, volatile, and deeply isolated man would go on to decode gravity and light. Yet he spent more time rewriting biblical timelines and searching for the philosopher's stone than he ever did practicing physics. Make sure to watch until the very end, because we are going to pull back the curtain on Newton's secret life. Isaac Newton was born on Christmas Day in 1642 in the tiny hamlet of Woolsthorpe, Lincolnshire. He arrived in a world that didn't expect him to survive. He was born so prematurely that his mother later remarked he could fit inside a quart-sized mug. His father, a wealthy but illiterate farmer, had died 3 months before his birth, leaving the fragile child fatherless from day one. When Newton was just 3, his mother remarried a wealthy clergyman and moved away, leaving young Isaac to be raised by his maternal grandparents. This early abandonment left a permanent psychological scar. Newton grew up as a profoundly solitary, resentful child who struggled to form connections with his peers. Instead of playing with the neighborhood children, he carved sundials into walls, built intricate water clocks, and crafted windmills powered by mice. When his mother returned years later, intending to turn him into a farmer, Newton proved catastrophically bad at managing livestock. Recognizing his intellectual talent and his complete lack of agricultural skill, his uncle intervened, paving the way for Newton to enter Trinity College, Cambridge, in 1661. In 1665, just as Newton was completing his education, the bubonic plague tore through London, forcing Cambridge to shut its doors. Newton retreated to his family farm at Woolsthorpe for an 18-month period that historians now refer to as the Annus Mirabilis, or the Year of Wonders. Cut off from the academic establishment, the 23-year-old unleashed an explosion of intellectual creativity unmatched in human history. It was during this quarantine that Newton watched an apple fall in his garden, sparking the realization that the same force drawing the apple to the earth keeps the moon in its orbit. Finding that existing mathematics were completely inadequate to calculate the shifting, fluid forces of planetary motion, he simply invented an entirely new branch of mathematics on the fly, known today as calculus, which he called the method of fluxions. Not content with reshaping mathematics, Newton turned his attention to optics. By boring a hole into his window shutter to admit a single ray of light, he used a glass prism to prove that white light is not inherently pure, but a mixture of a vibrant spectrum of colors. To study the eye's perception of color, he went so far as to slide a bodkin, a long, blunt needle, behind his own eyeball to see how distorting his vision altered his perception of light. Newton returned to Cambridge as a professor, but his path to global fame was blocked by his intense paranoia and hatred of criticism. When he shared his work on light with the Royal Society, he was met with sharp criticism from Robert Hooke, a brilliant but arrogant scientist. Stung by the pushback, Newton retreated into a shell of absolute secrecy, locking his revolutionary mathematical discoveries away in a desk drawer for nearly 2 decades. The world might have never known his genius if not for the astronomer Edmund Halley. In 1684, Halley visited Newton to ask a theoretical question: What shape would the orbit of a planet take under a force of attraction that decreased with the square of the distance? Newton answered instantly, "An ellipse." Astonished, Halley asked how he knew. "Why," replied Newton, "I have calculated it." Halley realized that Newton sat upon the secrets of the cosmos and practically begged him to publish his results. The result was the 1687 publication of the Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy. It established the three laws of motion and the law of universal gravitation, binding the movements of a falling stone and the rotation of distant planets into a single elegant mathematical framework. Newton became an academic god overnight. With the Principia secured, Newton grew tired of Cambridge academia. In 1696, he moved to London to take up the post of Warden and later Master of the Royal Mint. Most figures treated this position as a well-paid retirement perk, but Newton approached it with the same obsessive intensity he brought to physics. The British economy was in a state of absolute crisis due to clipping, where people shaved the silver off the edges of the coins, and rampant counterfeiting. Newton took this as a personal insult. He systematically redesigned the nation's currency, introduced the milled, reeded edges still found on coins today to prevent clipping. More dramatically, he transformed into a ruthless detective. Newton put on disguises, frequented London's seediest taverns, and built an extensive network of informants to track down counterfeiters. His primary target was William Challoner, a brilliant rogue and master counterfeiter who had insulted Newton by falsely claiming the mint itself was corrupt. Newton spent years meticulously gathering evidence, building an airtight case against Challoner. In 1699, Newton successfully broke the counterfeit ring and watched Challoner hang at Tyburn Gallows. Sir Isaac Newton passed away in his sleep in 1727 and was buried with grand state honors in Westminster Abbey, an honor normally reserved for kings. In the centuries that followed, he was remembered as the ultimate rationalist, the cold, logical machine who brought order to the universe. However, a bizarre twist occurred in 1936 when a cache of Newton's private, unpublished papers were sold at auction. The buyer, economist John Maynard Keynes, was shocked by what he read. The papers revealed that Newton had written more than 1 million words on alchemy and occult theology. He spent decades in a secret laboratory trying to create the legendary Philosopher's Stone to transmute base metals into gold, and he left behind calculations predicting that the world would end no earlier than the year 2060 based on his literal interpretation of the Bible. As Keynes famously noted, Newton was not the first of the age of reason. He was the last of the magicians. He remains an immortal giant of history, a man who looked into the darkness of an unmapped universe and found the math to explain it all. Thank you for exploring the incredible mind of Isaac Newton with us. If you want to keep discovering the secret lives of history's greatest icons, make sure to subscribe to our channel, tap that like button, and share this video with your friends. Let's get the discussion started in the comments section below. If Newton were alive today, do you think he would be focused on exploring quantum physics and deep space? Or would he still be searching for hidden codes in ancient texts? Let us know your thoughts below.